Hey, this is Chuck from Monocoque Metalworks. We're shooting the video from up there today so you can see that I've got the boot lid all fitted all the way around. I actually haven't fitted the boot lid, I've fitted the car to the boot lid. And we've made a weld across here. This piece we made and put in, and you can see that we have just put some plug welds along here to put this piece in, but on the sides, we've used all those drilled out spot welds to make our new plug welding holes. And then the boot lid itself is aluminum. I've twisted this all around. Actually, at one point, I was down here using my head to bend it. And we've got a really great fit. You should be able to see a pretty good even gap all the way around. It turned out a lot better than I thought it would for a race car. So let's go ahead and back up a little bit and I'll show you how I got this far. I'm here on the weekend alone again because we're starting to run out of time and I need to just keep pushing on this project. So when we last left off, I had gotten all of this right where I want it, and now I need to come back to these pieces and get them in place, and they're really struggling and fighting me, and I think it's just time for me to pick a spot and go for it. When I screw them down, this piece ends up lower than this one, and I can clamp it in place properly, but then I can't shut the boot lid for a good fit. So I think it's time for me to just tack that corner, get this corner the best that I can, and you can see it's a little off, and I'm gonna need to make some adjustments there. And then down here, what's left of that welded over seam, you can see on the back side exactly where the factory seam was, and that should line up right with the top of this plate. And lining that up really gets me in the perfect spot up here. Now, unfortunately, because of the order I've done this, I'm not going to be able to get the planishing hammer in there, and it's a short seam. So I think I'm going to TIG this slow. Well, no, I'm not going to TIG it. I'm going to MIG it slowly with a wet rag to keep it cool and just see how that goes. And I think I'll be all right for that. So, like I said, I'm under the gun here a bit on time. I don't think I'll be able to do as much filming today. I need to just put the camera down and jump into this. So, wish me luck, and I'll come back as soon as I can. Okay, I realized that if I was going to put that piece on, I was going to box myself in. And I wasn't going to be able to get the spot welder in on this piece. So I dragged out the spot welder and I decided, all right, let's start spot welding some of this stuff. And then while I got both of these on, I got the other side done too. There was still a little primer up in there that gave me some trouble. See, up in there. So that's why it gave me some trouble up in there. But otherwise, we did all right. And now I've reconfigured this thing, and you can see I've got a strap on there to tilt it. It's very heavy and it's hard to tilt by yourself. And so now I'm going to run along and spot weld that seam down there. And I might do a couple other targets of opportunity while I'm in here, and then I'll go ahead and get back to what I was doing. All right, I decided to leave the radio on for this one. It's getting hot and heavy here. I have these in now. And there's a lot of twisting and forcing and just kind of welding and doing them as I go was a better way to go. This gap isn't perfect, but for a wrecked race car with an aluminum deck lid, we're looking all right. And see, we're up a little bit here, but that's okay because that's where that lead goes in that seam. And that's how they finished that off, see? But we can play around with the deck lid some too. And see, the deck lid, this thing is so flimsy that if you hold this side down, that side sticks up. If you hold this side down, that side sticks up a little bit. You got to try to hold it in the center. And then here's this side. And it's a little tight in here, but I can work on that some with a hammer. But as you can see, that's in there. And then up here, we've just tacked this for now. And this helped me out because I tacked as I went and it pulled it in tighter and tighter as it went, which worked out well for me because that kind of pulled that back some. And then over here, it just kind of stayed about the same width. but that is the width of the slicing wheel. So it's right where it was. This side was giving me trouble, but I think that it was already kind of twisted from them welding up that gas lid at some time in the past. So we're looking all right here. I widened up the back a little bit, played around with some of my screws. You can see that I pulled these out and I kind of moved this back some, and I've still got some work to do there in the corner. Same thing over here. So I kind of made a commitment here. I really needed this tacked here. And so I just decided, all right, it's time. So now I'm gonna go ahead and weld in, do all my plug welds here, pull these screws out and plug weld that in. So let's see how that goes. All right, I've started welding stuff in. You can't really tell from here, but there's what I got with the boot lid. And it's a tight fit, but it looks good and it's pretty equal all the way around. So we are gonna keep going. All right, it's Monday morning now, so I got a film crew with me. I'm welding up this little seam right here, and like I mentioned before, I'm just doing it with a MIG and a wet rag. I've got a gap here that's the width of my slicing wheel, and so I need to fill that gap, and the MIG works well for that as well. Also, I'm not going to be able to get the planishing hammer in here, and this actually works pretty well in a short little run like this. So I'll show you, this is just a dirty wet rag, and I am going to fill this in and then quench it with the rag as soon as I can. So take a look here. The steam coming out. See, I only did a little bit because I just want to quench it. I don't want to get any heat in there. See how my heat track is very, very narrow. And it gets this black color instead of blue because of the quenching. And then, you don't have to get real fancy here. You just wipe the water off. See, and with this method, as long as you don't do too much at one shot, and get carried away, you're not going to get the warpage, and then you can come along and grind this off. So, not the most, high-tech, expensive way of welding, but it works out pretty well. You got to be good with the MIG, though, otherwise you just burn through all over. All right, time has gone by, and we've made some more progress. This is all welded up, hammered and dollied a little bit, and then ground down. As you can see, it is not perfect. And if I was doing a different car, I would spend some more time here and get it just right. You guys have seen me do that before. However, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble there by going too far and thinning out the metal. And it just didn't seem necessary when they're going to be using filler here. And that aluminum wing, which is about 50 thousandths thick, is getting riveted onto here, and then it's going to get feathered in. So this is just fine. It's a lot smoother than it looks. All these little imperfections here you can see. I mean, we're talking, I don't know, 5 to 10 thousandths difference in these little lumps here. And, again, we've got a 50 thousandths thick shelf right here getting feathered in. So that's just fine. And then we've done this side over here. This side gave me a little more trouble, but otherwise we were all right. Would have been really nice to be able to get the planishing hammer in there, but we did just fine with a hammer and dolly. So there's that. And now we've been working on this back corner. This is the uglier side of fitting all this in place. This is just the raw welding. I had to cut this and kind of tuck it down in there to get a good fit on the boot lid. And actually it looks a lot wider than it is because I'm concerned with this direct down view. around here in the corner. See, I told you, it rides up in the corner here. And I'm gonna get some of that out by reshaping the deck lid when I've got it back off of here. And then also you're gonna have to put some filler in here they always have lead in here, and usually it goes a little wider and fills in this corner. So we're gonna go ahead and grind this down now and sculpt it a little bit. We'll clean up inside of here, and then that'll be good for the body shop to move forward from there. So that's that. We are moving along. And then I've got to do this next corner back here. Then I've got to jump in here with the claw spot welder and spot weld all these, spot weld all this. We've got a few more plug welds to do. So we're getting there. Okay, so I finished up all the welding and all the grinding here, and all I've got left to do now is jump in here with the spot welder. I can't use the big C piece that goes in here. I got to use this thing we call the claw to go in here. And in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and take the boot lid off. And it'll be off pretty much till the end now, because I'm going to need to put this in a rotisserie and turn it around. But anyway, I want to show you how the fit is. If you come over here, you can see in our previous segment, I showed you how ugly all of this welding was. Well, I've done all the grinding and I've gotten in there, and now there's the fit right there. You can see it's a little close here, but that's the deck lid itself. Deck lid, boot lid, I kind of interchange that. And it's a little fat in the corner, but I was trying to come in and meet that. So if you just kind of come over and shoot down, you can see it's a little more even that way maybe. And then over here, same thing. We've come in here and cleaned up this corner as well. Here, I'll even take over. There we go. I will show this. There's that corner. You see, there's the deck lid coming down. It's a pretty even gap all the way around. So I've left this open for our next phase. So let's just go ahead. The last thing we got to do is take this boot lid off and go ahead and do that spot welding. So let's do that. All right, the spot welding is complete. And I did take the extra time to grind out all of the plug welds that were up in here. So it's back to a smooth little valley. And then I just used the claw to spot weld that in there. And you can see my marks. I went with 1.25 inch spacing. That seems to be just the right amount. And then I went ahead and did these down here as well, in case I don't know if they go with chrome or no chrome back here. So if they're going with no chrome, I want this to look real nice. Actually, it's probably too nice. It doesn't look like factory. They just kind of come along and do that. So that's it. Our boot lid, deck lid opening is done and fitted, and it's back off of there. That was a nightmare. But all of the real complicated fitting and jigging of the back is done, because the whole deck lid opening is just how it should be. And then we are also right up against the jigs back here. So next I've got to put the jigs back in and go ahead and start fitting these rear lower valance panels. But that will be in the next segment. So we're done for here. Here's the claw that I used to do it, my ancient Pro Spot, but it works great. And there's where we are. So we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for watching.